I'm in search of a new family car. I bought...
This episode of MotoringBox is proudly supported by Century Batteries.
Hey guys, welcome back to MotoringBox. Long time no see. Today is a bit of an interesting video. I'm driving a car which you've never ever seen before, but this is actually one that I've owned for the longest amount of time throughout my life. This car is a first generation Honda Jazz GD. It's a 2006, and I have to say this, if you're talking about reliability and dependability, this car is the best car I've ever owned. But when you're talking about cars which you're passionate about and you just can't wait to drive, this is not that car. I despise this car if you look at it that way. Not a single thing has gone wrong, and I mean nothing. It has never seen a Honda service department, or let alone any service department. I've simply changed the fluids, engine oil, CVT fluid, coolant. Out of pity, I once threw a set of spark plugs into it because I thought, hey, I've driven this car for 6 or 7 years and haven't touched it. The plugs that came out looked mint. So really, this car to me is kind of like a fridge. Yes, you know, everybody loves a fridge. You want a fridge to work constantly without issue. You want it to be quiet. Yeah, you want it to do its job. And for that, you respect it immensely. And yes, that's how it is for me with this car. My respect for this car is boundless. But do I love it? No, I don't. And really, this car has been our main kind of family car over those 10 years. And you might think that's crazy because I own 2 Falcons, I own a Magna, I've owned other big 4-door cars over the years. But a big part of that is due to my wife as well. She has an ailment which makes it difficult to get into fairly low cars. That's getting worse over the years too. So this car is kind of at the end of its lifespan or usability span for us. And also with a son and needing to pack more things into a car, this car's getting way too small. So today, if it all goes well, I'm going to be doing something about it. I'm in search of a new family car. So the criteria is, it needs to be bigger. So it needs to be able to seat my wife and I fairly comfortably. It needs to have higher ground clearance, so it's easier for her to get in and out. It's also easier to load my son in and out of the car seat as well. It needs to be a car as well that I'm fairly familiar with mechanically. I want to be able to work on cars, I want to be able to maintain it, look after it, keep it spick and span. But also I want it to seat up to 5 people comfortably if I've got parents in the car too. And if you punch all of that criteria into Sean's brain, those who know me probably know what sort of car is the answer. So we're going to look at one of those today. So we are in the north side of Brisbane at the moment, heading through Aspley. We are heading up the coast, up near Mooloolaba. So if you want to skip ahead, I'll put a timestamp down the bottom of the video to let you know when you're going to see some of that car. But if not, stick around, come along for the ride. You guys haven't seen me for a couple of months. That's because I needed a break. For the past year or so, I've been working on a Mitsubishi Magna Rally Art. It's a pretty rare car, love it. I bought that November last year, 2022, and so just ticked over a year of ownership. I spent a lot of time working on that car, bringing it back up to condition, getting it registered, and then when I went to get it painted, that's when things didn't go well. My painter sort of he didn't bail on it, but he just wasn't getting it done, so I had to take it off him. And the end result is I now have it in many, many pieces in my garage in primer. I almost haven't looked at the car since I got it home. I've just thrown a cover over it and I almost just can't deal with it at the moment. It's a mental thing, but it's also like a time shortage thing as well. So yeah, nothing has really happened. I've sort of stripped a few more parts off it that need to come off, like mirrors and a few other bits and bobs, but I'm at a stage now where it needs paint, but I don't have the money. So I've had a few quotes and things. It's funny, you know, it's in primer. You'd think it'd cost you less to get the job finished, but I contacted one company. They said $11,000 from its current state to get it finished. I just said, okay, I'm going to be saving for a while. I'll talk to you later. I didn't ask around any further because I just couldn't deal with it. So in the meantime, I've considered spraying it myself. I don't have an air compressor or a paint gun, so I thought, why don't I order 20 odd cans of Sable Black in rattle cans and 15 odd cans of 2K clear coat, which I think is quite dangerous stuff. So you need breathing gear and all sorts of gear like that. So I've got all that paint in the boot of it, but I don't know if I'm going to do it. I just don't know what I'm going to do about that car. So that's why I haven't touched it for a while. You haven't seen it, you haven't heard from me. You're not going to see anything till next year at this stage. Early next year, I hope to get back on track with that project, whether I pay someone to spray it or I spray it. Wait and see. I want to trim down my fleet a little bit too, so I want to sell this car, but I also want to sell probably my AU Fairmont gear as well. So I'll put up a separate video when that one's for sale. If there's any viewers who want to purchase that car, you can submit offers to me. It's a great car, you know, I just don't drive it though. So we're hitting the Bruce Highway now. Sit back, do a bit of a time lapse, and I'll pick up with you guys when I get closer to the destination. See you soon. Nearing our destination. I'm getting a little bit excited. The car we're looking at today, I've never actually been in one or driven one. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So yes, although I can't speak highly enough about this car, I just want it out of my life. Get out. We're done. All right, she should be just around the corner. Let's see if she's in the driveway. No. All right, well, I'm a little bit early, so I'm going to go park up and yeah, I guess you'll hear from me when we're done. We'll see, do I buy it or not? Tune in next time and find out. Nah, not next time. You'll find out like in 2 seconds. Trust me. Just hang about. Guys, I've got some bad news. The little Honda Jazz is now sitting by the roadside in some godforsaken housing estate. I shouldn't call it that, it was quite nice. Because I bought an SZ Ford Territory. Now let me get one thing straight from the get-go. This is not a car for the channel. This is a car for me and my family. It's been paid for by my money, not by channel money. And as a result, you're not really gonna see much of this thing on the channel. It's just gonna be a day-to-day car. We might do a few things if it needs some work or whatnot, but come and have a look at it. So what it is a 2013, very late 2013 build, SZ Territory petrol. It's got just over 170,000 kilometers on the clock. And overall, the condition of this car is, quite frankly, excellent. A few little nicks and that on the body, but considering the car is, you know, just over 10 years old now, it's actually in pretty good order. So the thing about the Territory is Ford kind of munted it as far as the petrol version goes as soon as they started making the facelifted SZ. You could only get an all-wheel drive version if you opted for a diesel. If you wanted a petrol, you could only go for a rear-wheel drive. So that's what this car actually is. So you've got the cloth seats, which are in really good condition. You've got the full FG style dash. And this one is only a 5-seater. I've had a look at 7-seaters and there's just not a lot of space back there for the 6th and 7th seat. So I'm pretty happy with the 5-seater. I do love cloth. You know, if you follow me, you'll know my ramblings in the past about leather seats. I hate them. I prefer cloth. It's far more comfortable here in Queensland. But yeah, it's in really good nick. It's got floor mats. It's got the little weather shields on the windows, which is nice. I think someone's looked after this in the past. Got just over 173,000 kilometers. And under the bonnet, as you'd expect, you've got the trusty old Ford 4-litre naturally aspirated Barra. So again, it's pretty tidy in here. The seller told me he reckons the previous guy who sold it to him about a year ago replaced all of the hoses and belts, and basically it's had a lot of maintenance done, and that seems to reflect the fact of what I see under here. It's all nice and tidy. It looks clean. It was saying the battery was low, so I'm gonna have to check. That battery It was made in 2018, so yeah, it might be getting on, might be time for a new battery. Luckily, I know a place I can get some of those. But yeah, generally, the car's looking good. There's another little fault here with the wiper, which I can sand back and respray. And I do love the updated rocker covers that they had on the FG model cars too. I've got the child seat already installed for my son. But yeah, plenty of storage in here, acres of it, I would suggest. If you had a 7-seater, I believe the back seat would be about here somewhere. So it only gives you kind of, you know, here to there worth of storage space. So it's not really the best 7-seater car in the world. But yeah, overall, this one is pretty clean. I can definitely tidy it up a bit more. The roof lining is starting to go a little bit there. It's not terminal just yet, but that'll probably have to be done in the next year or so. But yeah, overall, looking really good. So let's jump in this thing and yeah, we'll go for a bit of a spin. All right, so here we go in the SZ territory. Now, as I mentioned, this car is a late 2013, so that means it's just gone over 10 years old. It's just had its 10th birthday last month. I still haven't gone through all the service records. I just didn't have time, it was so hot. And the car just drove really well. So I tend to wing it when it comes to inspections and just, I don't pore over every single detail. I just drive the car and let the car talk to me. And this car was saying a lot of nice things. So your first impressions, the car is very quiet, very smooth. You would hardly know that it's based on a Falcon. I mean, I've never actually driven an FG Falcon before, but it's worlds apart from like my BA XR6 Turbo. Even though that's got a lovely engine, it's starting to feel a little bit dated and old, whereas this doesn't really. I think a lot of it is due to the smell of the car too. Like if you buy a car that's an ex-smoker's vehicle, it stinks, it smells old. That plays a big part. This one smells almost brand new. Like I don't think anyone's ever smoked in it. And it just smells beautiful. Very fresh, clean, love it. That's a big deal for me. So yeah, there's been a few things I've been worried about buying one of these. The main one is the ZF6 transmission. I've heard some horror stories about how they can start to go wrong about 160,000 kilometers if they haven't been maintained. This one is now over that, and in the short time I've driven it, it hasn't put a foot wrong. It seems very, very smooth. There's not a single clunk even in reverse, like engaging reverse. It feels good. So look, territories don't have a great reputation when it comes to reliability. I just hope this one doesn't bite me in the butt as the ownership experience goes on. The current fuel economy, the previous owner dailied this thing around town, not a lot of highway use. It was sitting at 12.6 litres per 100 Ks. So it's my understanding that this territory is probably the most fuel efficient petrol model you could get, because it's got the ZF6. I suppose the SY2 with the ZF probably would have been similar, but you've probably got the most aerodynamic body shape. You've got rear-wheel drive only, a Barra and a ZF. Like it doesn't have the added weight and all the drive gubbins as well to sort of, apparently they add about an extra litre per 100 K. So yeah, this is probably like the best petrol one you could get, I guess. Unless you went right up to like a 2015 or 16 or something. But anyway, I'm rambling. It feels good. I think in the later years, they even started outselling the FG and FGX Falcon, so I can see why. When the Territory came out, I read a statistic. They said 1 in every 4 cars sold was an SUV back in, 2004. When this car finished production, it was 1 in 2 cars sold was an SUV. So yeah, the popularity of SUVs was coming, and Ford obviously saw that, and that's why they developed this car starting in '98. And you know, they really rode that wave. It was a winner for them. They sold something like nearly 180,000 cars when it was all wrapped up in 2016. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked to own one of these, to finally experience it. It's a bit surreal. People who drive, more expensive cars than this are probably going to be thinking I'm talking shit, but I have spent my whole life driving cars that are worth, 10 grand or less. And yeah, this is probably the best car I've owned. to be honest. So yeah, beautiful aircon. We've got full dual zone climate control. Set it to 22. It's beautifully cold, effortless. This car, it's a hot day here today and it's just brought the temperature down really quick. Yeah, it smells good. There's lots and lots of storage cubbies. The center console is so deep. I've filled it with my stuff already. Apparently 30 different storage compartments around here. It's gonna be interesting as well for me to test out the sport mode. Currently just in standard drive, and the shifts on the gearbox, they're very slow. Like, it's very smooth. Like, you can just tell it's shifting slower to get that smoothness up. And I imagine if you switch to performance, it'll arc it up a bit, but that's not really what this car's about. So we're just reaching 110 k's an hour now. Let's arm the cruise. Cruise is beautiful, working nicely. Pretty quiet. I know the Territory's not the most refined vehicle in the world, but for an Aussie-made SUV, I think it's the only Aussie-made SUV, isn't it? Surely. I'm honoured to own one. So yeah, all you Territory guys out there in the comments, let me know your thoughts. What do you reckon about this Territory? When you're looking for an SZ, probably 80-85%, they're all diesels. I have zero interest in a diesel engine. I really wanted a petrol. So if you're looking for a petrol Territory, yeah, they all seem to be in the teens. This is actually one of the cheaper ones I could find. And compared to the other ones I've looked at, this is by far in way better condition than any of those. So that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap this up. You may not see a lot of this car in the future. I probably will come back with an ownership report in a couple of months' time. But fingers crossed, it doesn't really need much done to it. I just hope it'll be a nice family cruiser. Already I can tell it will be. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really hope we can resume regular programming on MotoringBox, getting the Magna painted one way or another. Do stick with me. A subscription is free. You know, you can just leave yourself subscribed, and as soon as I post, you'll know about it. So yeah, do keep in touch with me. Write your comments in the comment section below. Have a good one, and hopefully see you soon.